Hi, I'm Paul Joy. Today I want to talk to you about the SmallRig Half Cage and what I love about using this with the Sony FX3. Okay, so then why do we need a cage on the FX3 when it's a cageless design? Well, whilst this camera does have various mounting points on it, it doesn't really offer a nice way to mount a monitor, for instance, or if you want to mount an audio pack. You know, those things don't really help. If you attach something like a Noga arm to one of these mounting points, it'll just work its way loose. On the base, you only get one mounting point. So if you attach a tripod plate directly to this, you know, the camera will invariably come loose or move. It's not a good way of working. So for me, adding a cage solves those main points. So with the SmallRig Half Cage, what I really like about it is its minimal design. It's very lightweight. It doesn't take up loads of room, and the main reason I wanted the FX3 was to use on a gimbal. Adding this to the camera doesn't really change that too much. It's still very small, compact, but then answers those problems which the camera doesn't by itself. Okay, so to begin with, we literally just put the camera into the cage from the back, and then there's two bolts to fit. There's one which goes in from the bottom, once that's tight, we can add in the small bolt that fits on the left side of the camera. These are both done with the supplied tool, which handily just magnetically fits on the base, so it's there for when you need it. Because it extends the base down a little, I find holding the camera to be a lot more comfortable. It fits in the palm of my hand really nicely, so I'll actually leave this on if I'm just using this to do some photography. Another benefit is that the bottom of the cage is actually shaped to be an Arca Swiss compatible tripod plate, meaning that if you're using an Arca Swiss tripod, you can literally mount this cage straight into the tripod head without using an adapter plate, which again saves on weight, especially if working on a gimbal. Now I have a SmallRig Arca Swiss converter for my Ronin S, for example, which means I can literally just clip this into the Ronin S without actually having to add other adapters. So underneath we've got 4 threaded holes which will work with multiple tripod plates and allow you to attach those tripod plates with 2 bolts to make sure it's really secure and it's not going to come loose. On the left side we've got the NATO rail attachment, which means if you've got something like a side handle with a NATO rail attachment, or maybe a NATO rail Noga arm or something like that you want to attach there, you can do that. Okay, so above that on the left hand side we can attach the HDMI port protector which comes with this half cage, and what that allows you to do is when you insert the HDMI cable, it will clamp onto the cable so that if you accidentally knock the cable, it won't damage the port on the camera. It's nicely designed so that when the doors open, there's slots in the little clamps here so that the door being opened doesn't interfere with them closing. So that's a really nice touch. The one thing I have found is if you're not using an HDMI cable, it can rattle, which is obviously not great if you're sort of shooting audio, but if you loosen it up to its limit, it will then go quite solid and it doesn't make a noise. So that's the basic cage on the camera, and it gives us the ability to mount various things, which is what I'm going to show you next. Okay, to begin with, we'll start by mounting a third-party handle. I'm going to fit this SmallRig top handle. This one actually has a built-in start-stop button, which can be used with the camera if you connect a USB cable from the side, which then connects into the camera. So to begin mounting this one, I'm going to use the NATO rail, which comes with the half cage. This is a really nice design. A couple of things I like about it are that the bottom is chamfered so that it doesn't interfere with the cold shoe, so it won't scratch that. There's also a spring-loaded lock on the end, so that once you slide on something like a handle, if it was to come loose, it won't accidentally slide off the camera and then drop the camera. So we'll begin by attaching this to the top of the camera. Okay, so next I'm just going to attach a lens. In this case, it's going to be the Sony G Master 16-35. So when I mount this to the camera, generally it would be mounted in this direction, but I find that the camera becomes front heavy then. So what I like to do is actually reverse it. So this fits onto the NATO rail, and then that way the camera is a lot more balanced. So you're not kind of fighting the weight of the camera, and it naturally wants to balance. So if you want to kind of get a little bit of movement in your handheld shots, you can. The other benefit of mounting it that way is when it comes to mounting a monitor, I like to have my monitor mounted at the in line with the handle rather than on top. This can literally just fit into the cold shoe, and then from there you just have to attach the monitor. Again, I think that makes for a really nice, simple system. It's compact. The only downside is that you'd have to use some kind of cold shoe mounted small microphone with this setup, which you can do. But ultimately, if I'm going to be using audio, if I'm going to be recording audio, then I will use the XLR handle just because of the added control it gives me for recording levels and such. So next I'll show you how we can use the XLR handle and how we can still mount a monitor using this method. Now, one thing that you can see with this is that I have added the SmallRig FX3 handle extension onto this. I would really recommend this. It makes the handle a whole lot more comfortable to use. I've got a 4-inch and a 6-inch carbon rod from SmallRig. All these are linked down in the description. I've posted the details about every single product. So I literally put a 4-inch one into this adapter on the top of the half cage, and just so it sticks forward. And from there, I'm using one of these 15mm rod brackets or clamps from SmallRig. You can fit this to that carbon rod and tighten that down. And they've also got the ratchet levers so that you can then pull them out and turn them either out the way or just put them in the right spot. From there, I use a 6-inch carbon rod, just push that through to the front. And then I've got a Nitsy 15mm rod monitor clamp. I use that to mount the monitor on that rod. There we go, and then just put the monitor onto that. So there we go. That's how I have my monitor set up when I'm using the XLR handle. This makes for a really nice solution, and all thanks to the SmallRig Half Cage. So that's one of the reasons why I highly recommend this one, just because of that 15mm rod adapter. It really makes a big difference. Now, one other thing on here is we've got the cold shoe, and you can use that. So for instance, if I'm shooting with a wireless audio, I've got my Sony wireless pack here. That can literally just fit straight into that. So with the wireless mounted like that, it's a great position because quite often I find myself working on the left side of the camera, especially if I'm shooting an interview or something. So it's great. So we've got full access to the audio controls in the XLR handle here. And also, because I'm on this side, I can see what's happening with the wireless receiver, as well as being able to adjust my monitor so that I can see it from however I want in terms of the angle. So this can be adjusted as such. So there we go. I hope that was useful. If you have any questions, please leave comments. Let me know if you guys have got different solutions or if this one works really well for you. And if you could like and subscribe, that's obviously a big help for me. Look out for more videos coming soon.